What's up? Welcome back to my channel. Chrissy Explains It All. As always, if I'm gonna tell it, I gotta tell it all. So let's go ahead and get into this explanation, honey. We are talking about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, them Salt Lake wives, honey. I did not do my review last week on them, and I apologize for that, but you know, life comes at you fast, honey. But let's go ahead and talk about it now. So for the first part of the episode, we are just kind of like checking in on all of the wives, getting a taste and feel of what everybody is doing. This was definitely like, you know, the first part of it was definitely a filler. Just going around, see what everybody doing, checking up. We got Heather and Whitney on FaceTime, and the topic of conversation, honey, is always Jen. They're talking about the conversation that Jen and Heather had, you know, last week, the week before, if you watched. They had a conversation and they came to some kind of common ground, you know, and you know, we know that Heather loved that Jen juice, honey, even though, you know, Jen ain't the best friend, but for some reason Heather still be pressed to be Jen's friend. But anyway, they are talking about the conversation. So next up, we get a scene with Jen and Lisa, and I believe they had like another friend with them. I can't remember. But they're doing like a snow activity. Child, you know these women love the snow. I think they were doing, I don't even know what it was called, like snow. Don't get me to lie to you, but like maybe a snow biking or something like that. I don't know. But they stop and they have a conversation. Jen, you know, talks about how she wants to invite everybody for a little get together. Of course, their topic of conversation is Heather and Whitney. And, you know, Jen is talking about how she had the conversation with Heather and, you know, that she thought they was going to get to a good place. And I will say, Lisa seemed as though she wasn't that happy about Jen and Heather, you know, being on good terms. So, of course, Jen says she's planning something for all the ladies. And, child, she made a comment. She was asking them people for their personal information, which seems a little bit weird. She was like, she needed the full name that was on the ID or something like that. Child wouldn't tell Jen nothing because, you know, scammers gonna scam. But she says they're gonna go ice fishing. We get a scene with Mary and her son. Child, Mary is so doggone weird. The son was supposed to say grace, and it was like he didn't know how to say grace. And I'm like, ain't your mama a pastor? Like, this is just so weird. But then they have conversation, and this conversation that, you know, Mary tends to have with this boy is just always off the wall. I'm not sure that you know, he's always comfortable with the conversation. But it seems as though she was kind of pressuring him too to join the army, which seems a little odd. We go to Jenny, and you know, Jenny is the new girl, and I'm really liking Jenny. We get a scene, and I really do enjoy her family. I think she has a very cute family. But we get a scene from Jenny this week where she was talking to her husband, Dewey. And I kind of felt for her a little bit because she disclosed that she has had 9 miscarriages. I mean, 9 miscarriages, and then she's had 3 C-sections. So she said all of this has definitely taken a toll on her body, and doctors have advised that it's best for her not to, you know, have any more pregnancies. Of course, having all this, and then she is up in age a little bit, I believe. But Dewey wants more children, and he's pressuring her to have more kids, knowing the medical history, which seems a little odd because he's a doctor and he should know better. So I'm kind of interested to see where this is going to go later on in the season. I'm sure this conversation will come up again and be part of their storyline. We go over to Heather's house, and she's sitting there with her kids, of course, and she's talking to Ashley. I think it's the oldest daughter's name. And is this going to be the thing the whole season? I mean, she's just talking about and worrying about Ashley going off to college. But she's asking Ashley, are you going to go to church when you go to college? Girl. And it don't seem like, you know, Ashley really wanted to be a part of the whole Mormon church thing. But, you know, we'll see. Child, Meredith is at her store. She says she got some new inventory in. And guess who coming over there? Mary. Mary coming over to the store. She comes. We got Meredith. We got Mary. We got Brooks. Y'all, it is so weird. Brooks says that Mary is his friend. I find that so odd. I mean, that has to be some Caucasian people stuff, because never in a million years would I been able to say that my mama friend was my friend. I mean, you know, when you was young, if you was even sitting in the room when your mama had company and you sitting there and you even looked like you were listening, I mean, my mama would look at me and be like, get out of grown people business, you know. And I'd be like, Mom, I'm not even listening. And he's sitting there talking about Mary. No, her name is Miss Mary to you. You put a handle on that lady's name. I mean, that's just how, you know, we do it. But it's very odd that, you know, Mary his friend. And that's why I say, you know, it's very confusing to me. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing. It's very controversial. Brooks is almost like another housewife. I mean, he is very involved with the show. And it's kind of like, if you're going to be a kid, then be a kid. Stay in the kid's place. Stay in the child's place. And don't get mad when people come for you or say anything about you on social media. Because you all up, you know, in front of the camera like you one of the housewives. But I do get the whole situation with Meredith and Jen and how she's upset, you know, about the situation with Brooks. But I do feel like Brooks is too involved and he's too in the mix. Child, can we get to the main event? I mean, we show up to this ice fishing and you know who ain't came, Mary. Mary said she was not coming ice fishing and she meant it because she did not show up. But we did get to ice fishing with Zen Win. And I'm going to say I don't think anything has changed, which I don't know why she calling herself. Did I say Zen Win or Zen Jen? See, I'm confused. Stop it. I mean, Wendy on Potomac was calling herself Zen Win, and now we got Jen calling herself Zen Jen. Stop it. Ain't neither one of y'all Zen. But anyway, we get to this ice fishing event, and you know, I mean, let's just get right over it. Ain't nobody care about no ice fishing. Let's talk about Meredith and Jen. Meredith and Jen finally sit down. They had the conversation. Y'all, I mean, Jen is a character. Obviously, Meredith is upset about the Brooks situation, and she has every right to be upset about the Brooks situation. I mean, especially with Jen being accused of liking these homophobic tweets. Well, I'm not even going to say that it's accused because it's not really alleged. It's been proven because Meredith did have receipts that Jen was liking these homophobic tweets and, you know, retweeting stuff. Child, Jen gonna give this excuse that she don't run her social media. Child, that really? Well, if you don't run your social media, then whoever is running it, one of them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 assistants you got, one of them needs to be fired when you find out who's doing all of this stuff, because they are doing something in your light, in your name. So if they are doing this, that is a problem. Why don't you address them? But you know, Jen gonna just deflect or whatever. She gave like a little sorry behind halfway apology. And you know, I don't like all the forced apologies. I talk about it all the time with Potomac and when, you know, they're trying to make each other apologize. But she gave like a halfway apology and it wasn't good enough for me. But it certainly wasn't good enough for Meredith. Child, the conversation got heated and, you know, Meredith had to walk off, honey. And you know who went behind her? Lisa, trying to calm her down. But it was just an ice storm of a mess, honey, if you will. Even little Jenny tried to get up in it. I said, I guess she trying to get her little 5 minutes on the screen. She got to jump in somewhere. But that was pretty much the episode. Just a real quick recap. I will definitely see you back here next week to talk about it again. Until next time, don't do nothing you're going to have to explain, baby. Because you know your girl Chrissy explains it all. Peace.